Okay, my outstanding friends, this is just getting more and more fun day after day after day. Greg Morrison, who is one of my top contributors, absolutely fantastic research he's done, sends me all kinds of things, has proven all kinds of things that I was trying to discover, and he's finding them just laying around. I mean, I'm not kidding you. It's just absolutely amazing the kind of things that he has contributed. Now, this is one of them, and he was saying, tell people where this is, this is in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. This is a feather, and I think it's a turkey feather. And I'm going to show it to you. He sent me a piece of it. I believe he took it right out of here. It's 3 inches thick. Now, it's at the, it's in Gatlinburg at Foothills Parkway at Flat Road Turnoff. All right, so this is at Foothills Parkway, Flat Road Turnoff, wherever that is. I looked it up on Google. As far as it's a really snaky road. Now, I'm going to show you this in a second. I have it right in front of me. But this is the tiniest little piece of the feather. This is like in between one of these pieces. This is just nothing compared to the feather itself. Now, I have shown these feathers around the earth, like coming out of Quetzalcoatl's head on the East Coast. Now, is this part of his body? I don't know. I would think this is not big enough, even though it is 3 inches thick. This is the thickness of this feather. That's the top, and that's the bottom, or vice versa. But this is, I believe, came right out of here somewhere. Greg sent this to me, but it's right on the side of the road, this gigantic thing. You can go walking right up to it, I guess, and look at it, and people walk by it all the time, and they don't realize what it is. She is the feather. Sure looks like it to me, and I would go with turkey. All right, there's different types of feathers, down feathers and so forth, but we're basically looking at, you know, a turkey tail feather, or very similar to that. You see it? That's basically what we're looking at. Now, what are we looking at when we're looking at this piece right here? We're looking at one of these little fluty pieces in between one of these little bits here. In other words, you crack it open, which you can see is cracked open. We're looking at this little piece right here. Just this little, I mean, it's just the tiniest little piece of a feather, and it's still this big. All right, so that's pretty good size. And it sure looks like a turkey feather to me. I mean, it has that same looking color. A little old modelly looking. I don't know. Turkeys are still pretty good size. Okay, so Greg and I are hoping that you will send us some pictures of this area. Now, I don't know where he was on here, but this is this Foothills Parkway, and it becomes very snaky. You see, this is a Foothills Parkway here, and I can't really see anything from Google Earth, but I can tell you one thing. There's some serious action going on here. I don't know what it is, but there's some, you know, look at this. The whole thing is moundy. That's a new word now, moundy. And I don't know what these moundies are, but these moundies are everywhere. So anyway, this is where it came from, and we were hoping you guys would send us some pictures we can take a look at. And you can see this is the pattern of feathers right here. It's right in this area somewhere. Sure looks like feathers to me. And it might be right over, it might be right there. I'll bet you it's right in this area here. Well, wherever it is, you guys can figure it out. And but you can see that's really a feather. It's starting to take hold on me now. You see, they're all up through here. The whole thing is feathers. Now it's starting to take care of. I see what's going on now. He's down here in the feathers. These are other feather patterns coming up through here. The whole thing is a feather pattern. Greg, you're a genius. I'm telling you, the guy comes up with some stuff. See it all the way? It is part of Quetzalcoatl. I was thinking it was too small, but no, it isn't. It isn't too small. It's right on his back. Here's his head. Okay, Greg, you got it, buddy. You did it, my friend. You cracked the Z code again. There it is, right there on his back. Here's his head. Now, and you say, well, Roger, that can't be a feather. Oh, you think so, huh? Well, let's see. What is that? Do you think that could be a feather? Well, I think it could be. Let's see. Let me see what I have here for the feather. And what you see there, if it is the feather. Now, hold on a second. Okay. Everybody that knows me knows that I have been talking about dragons and giants, and all my stuff is DNA tested and some CAT scanned and all that stuff. And I found a dragon in Morocco, and I found Quetzalcoatl on the East Coast. Now, Greg Morrison went and discovered the feathers on his back. Now, he sent me a piece of one. And I think I've already talked to you about this. I got interrupted, so I'm not sure where I am. But I believe this is a turkey feather. I mean, it has that color now. And it's right there on his back. I believe I already showed you this. This is Quetzalcoatl, his body, and runs all the way up. And this is his headdress. Now, I'll show you what Quetzalcoatl looks like. But this is his headdress. It went all the way like this, all feathers. And his body snaked all the way up, and these are feathers up here too. And this is basically the look of his body. Now, how far up it went, probably up in here somewhere. But I can show you feathers here. I know feathers extremely well. I am a feather person. Now, you see this feather, see this pattern here? Let's see if we can see that. And I've shown it many times, so many of you have seen it many times, so you're going to see it again, just the way it works. This is his feathered head. And that is his feathered feather. You see that? That's this exact same thing right here. Alright, and these are the fluty feathers coming off his head, and there's one right next to it. They're all over the place. Most of them have green growing on the top. Now, but if you go all the way up, over all his body, you see this? Follow his body up. It goes right up here. This is his shoulders. This is right on his shoulders where Greg was. Right up in here. You can see it very, very clear now. Once you stop and back off, think. Let your mind just really absorb what you're looking at. It's very difficult to do that as a novice. Trust me, I know. But, you know, once you let your mind stop and think, and you look at what you're saying, that's not just hills and valleys. Not when you see what I'm going to show you. The ancients had these pictures of this exact same creature. Now, the only thing that disturbs me a little bit is they had him as green. I think he would be this color. If this was part of his feathers, and it appears to be now. I'm going to go with this is one of Quetzal's feathers. Okay, let's finish this up, or get close to finishing it up. Here's Quetzalcoatl. There's his feathered headdress, exactly like I showed you. Here's his body, snakes all the way up the East Coast, and these are the green mountains. Now look at his little beard here. He appears to be eating giants, or eating a human being. Now, was he doing that to help us by eating giants? I mean, he must look at the size of the thing. Because it's there. I don't care how you figure it. It's here. And here's his head, all the way up, and there was his feathers. His feathered headdress is up here. He runs all the way up the East Coast. There's his tail, or his feathers, whatever they are. I mean, yeah, they're feathers, but it's his the other side of his head is his tail. Now, he's spitting something out here, and it looks like it's a toxin. This is a zone of hypoxia. I've been studying this a lot. And all of the caverns and caves and everything, these are bodily digestive systems and all this through here. Now, this is not the same as Turkey, though. Turkey is built where that collapse was because of sarcomeres. Now, there may be sarcomeres here. I don't know. There's sarcomeres in all your muscles, and I'm sure they are in Turkey, Quetzalcoatl. All of the different creatures have muscles, and I imagine they're all basically the same. So, where there's earthquakes, it'd be interesting to see what is the geology there, because that's the key. Are there sarcomeres there? I would think that those are the ones that are going to be the most seismically active. And then, of course, where the digestive contents bubble up and all that, and they're capped off underneath, that's where you have the volcanoes. And you do have a lot of seismic activity there, because there's bubbles under there that are digesting. And if you know what a compost pile is where you throw a whole bunch of refuse, biological stuff. And when you have bodily fluids, they are extremely volatile. That's what creates hydrocarbons and gases and oils and bitumens and all that stuff, is the bodily fluids. So when those are capped off, that's when you get your gushers. When they drill oil, it comes out because it's under pressure. It's making oil from these bodily fluids. Now, I'm just pointing out what's here. You can go to this place that I told you, right here, Foothills Parkway at Flat Road Turnoff, wherever that is. You are going to be looking at feathers of Quetzalcoatl. It appears to me now. I didn't think these were big enough. I thought they would have to be, probably a foot or two thick. But they appear to be. It's right on his back. Unless he had some little one living on him. But that thing's huge. I mean, that is. Let's just see what we can see. I can say with very, very solid conviction that this is part of his tail. Now, let's look at how long this guy is. Now, oh my God. This is, if you snake all the way up around, all the way up to here, he's all sort of cuddled up. But he's still 1,100 miles long. Just to there. Now, you lay him out flat, he's a little bit longer, but let's go with 1,100 miles. We could be pretty comfortable with that. That is, that's full grown. Now, you know the one in the desert in Africa, shown bazillion, trillion times. The same thing, he's huge too. There's his tail, and this is on the maps. This is not something that is unknown. They knew this, and this is also, Typhon is written about in Apollodorus 1.6.3. So don't tell me I'm the one that's crazy. The people that can't see with their own two eyes are the ones that are crazy. Look at this. And this goes all the way over to here. He's had a fluted tail too. He's 1,200 miles long. 1,200 miles. Whoops. The fish is 700 miles long. Because that's the fish down here. And he was being attacked by the dragon. So all of this stuff I've shown over and over and over. And this is actually his blood vessels and everything inside here, because all the top of his scales and everything were eaten off by the toxins. These are arteries. These are blood vessels. These are capillaries. And then these are the veins. They take the expended blood and they bring it back. This is not anything that is unknown now. It's just undiscovered because they won't allow themselves to open their eyes to see this. It's too much of a disruption. So it can go unnoticed and unallowed, basically. I'm just not going to go with that. And you shouldn't either. There's no reason we should not be allowed, we should be not allowed to examine our true history. I mean, this is what it's all about. I thought that's what education was about. And it's not. It's about repeating what you're told to say. Stay in delusion where happiness resides. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong, being a PhD, perfectly happy, deluded. Maybe that's the best way, because just exactly what Jesus Christ said. He said, once you seek and you find, you will marvel and you will be disturbed. But then he said, you will reign over all, because there's people, they can't open their eyes. And the ones that can't open their eyes, the blue tightest, are the ones we rely on for our education. Like Max Planck said, science advances one funeral at a time. They get in control, they own it, it's all status at that point. Well, for me, status means very little. I have none, I seek none. All of this stuff, it appears to have run out at the same time these two battled. Apparently they battled. This is an attack, as far as I'm concerned, from this gigantic dragon. And that is a gigantic dragon. And in Apollodorus 1.6.3, it says all of this unkempt, flaring, hairy, feathery, unkempt, and this red, flaring eye. And here's all his dragon scales running down his dragon throat. Here's his dragon throat. Here's his scales. All this is the stuff that runs off of a dead body. All that stuff is nothing. That's just runoff. And it comes right down to here. His throat was actually cut and gashed. And all of this green is here because of red blood. Red blood, they sell blood meal to make things grow very green, and it works very good. I've used it. It works excellently. And that's why all this stuff is green right here, in the middle of the desert. But you can see where the green comes from red blood. This is the black blood. I've shown it, again, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And I'm going to keep showing it. So if you're unhappy seeing it over and over, well, Dios con Dios amigo. All the way down here, there's his tail. So people that are new need to see this. This is all the runoff. You see that? Those are transition metals. This thing must have had some serious, serious, serious armor. That is from transition metals. Whenever you see these colored things like that, those are metals. The other one is just basically blood. That must some kind of serious armor back there. And then way in the back here, again, it's just feathery looking things. Now this is not exactly the same kind of feathers, but not far off. And they run all the way down to the end. See down here? They're dragony looking things. But they're still feathers. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. See? Look at this. And that's exactly what it shows on the maps, on these ancient maps of this dragon all the way across North Africa. So that's the lesson for today, my little friends. And once again, this is all known now, that there was a great worldwide flood, and this is all on the surface of the earth. These are all the creatures that God wanted to kill because they had overrun the earth. I mean, obviously, you can't have these living here. Apparently, they were thrown to earth from heaven. It's time to take these things and look at them, examine them. What are they talking about? What is it they're talking about? Thrown to earth from heaven. Is that possible? I don't think these things could live on earth easily. Look, just this one and the other one, they'd eat whatever was on earth in a couple of days. I don't know. I don't have answers for these things. And I do believe at one time it said it was chaos. It was void. It was dark. It was all this mixed up stuff. And I believe it would spin in an accretion disk, which is more or less a flat thing, but it's spinning until it condensed and condensed and condensed and popped into a ball. And that's what Hesiod said. It was chaos until it settled down into a sphere. And that I understand, because I could see that. I've seen it actually happen on the Russian space station. I've shown this kind of stuff. Because once I start digging in, I go deeper. You know, they talk about rabbit holes. I got rabbit holes coming out of rabbit holes. So, it's time, if you want to stay on a journey, stay on a journey. My book will be out very shortly, which was my original book. And I'm going to put in a chapter in there about, you know, the updates, because I found a lot of stuff I made mistakes at. And I didn't understand a lot of things when I did write that book, but I did know that, you know, I did know that we were just slaughtered with life, and it was coming through space. But I got a little too carried away with my hyperbole. You know, well, let me show you. Let me show you something. But you know, people, I thought I could shock people into at least paying attention, but it shocked them into just running and hiding, which apparently, you know, they just thought I was crazy, and that went on for years and years and years. My book was called Minds in Collision. It was about Velikovsky. Hold on a second. Okay, one more look. I forgot to tell you about his beards, to look for his beards. Let's go back one more time. All right, Quetzalcoatl, where are you, my friends? All right. Although I don't know if they're friends or foes. I have no idea. Well, here's his beards. Right there. You see? The other one had beards, too. It appears that that's just part of the creature. And they do spit stuff out. And this is it right here. This is a zone of hypoxia. Nothing grows there. These are salt domes. And when you look at them, they're totally unexplained unless you take it as what's coming out of Quetzalcoatl's mouth, spitting at something. Now, was this a something here? I don't know. People say, oh, it was this, it was that. I don't know what it was. I can't find any. I didn't really look hard, but there are things around here that, you know, are hard to explain. You know, there's some kind of biology going on here, yes. What it was, je ne sais pas. I do not know. But I could tell you that looks like some form of biology, almost like feather patterns again. Now, was it attacking something here that was another feathered creature? I don't know. But that's not normal runoff under the ocean. Not normal. And it's not just one place. So there is something going on here. What it is, I cannot tell you. I don't know. But it does make sense. It might have been killed, but why is it so flat up here? See, that elevation is minus 9,700 feet, minus 10,000, minus 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. It's pretty flat up here. Minus 12,000, 12,000, 12,000, 12,000. It's, you know, what I'm saying is, I would have expected more of a creature-ish thing, but you know, you got to look at the edges. That's where I go to see if there's biology there, and I say yes, there is biology here. That I am quite certain. What it was, I don't know, but it appears he's spitting at him too. Because right here, this is all the same stuff. Basically coming right out of his snout. Look at this, the way his throat is designed here. All these little squiggly things coming out, all the way down his throat. And spit right out here, all that stuff. and it just squirted into the Gulf and hit this whole area. And that, and again, it's a zone of hypoxia, and this is going down. You see up here, it's only 239, 150, 100 feet. It's very, very shallow here, very shallow. And then it hits here, and it goes to 1,000 feet, and then 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,000. And then you're down into the 12,000 range all over the place. So it's all pretty flat now. This just came down below. It doesn't fit the pattern of an attack of something. Well, it doesn't, I can't explain it. Let's just go with that. But I can tell you what, I can explain this guy. And I'm showing you, you can go out there now, and I'm going to have people send us pictures. And go up there and just take a look for yourself. This is Quetzalcoatl's feathers. As far as I could determine, I'm going to go with that right now. Now, again, I want people to send me anomaly pictures, basically, and then be able to go out and do a little on-site research somewhere in your neighborhood. Something that everybody's talked about and always made fun of it, all the giant or this or that, or all the dragon here and dragon hills, or, you know, there's so many, there's all these hoodoos and this and that, Vermilion cliffs, and I mean, everything is biology. So the whole thing has to start all over again. This is nothing but biology. This is just, the things out here are absolutely stunning. You see all these? These are all biological body parts and functions of... This is not just accidental runoff making these patterns. This is... The earth was a body and a creature. And that, once again, Jesus said, when you discover the earth, you'll discover a corpse. And when you discover the earth, you'll discover the body. And these are bodies all over a corpse. As far as I'm concerned, that's what we got. These are all these bodies died. First of all, there was giants in the earth. That was the earth. There were giants in the earth. That was the earth. The earth was the giants, and they were in it, which created it. Then after that, there was more giants and dragons and monsters, which now are laying on the surface of the earth. Right? I have mine are DNA tested and all of that stuff. Here they are right here. We know about Quetzalcoatl. You know about his beard. I showed you that. You know about the feathers. You know about, well, maybe you don't. About my, this is DNA tested, and I have fingers and so forth that were CAT scanned. And this is a left hand, and I'm sure I've shown, well, I know I've shown this hundreds of times. This is the grip skin falling off. Again, I get lost in the presentations. So anyway, that's it. Now, this is so cool. Where do you see this? You see this here? This is muscle tissue, and it's separated out into each little band. You see that? That's a band of muscle. All right, take a look at it. You see all these little curves? You see them up here? It's the same thing. Each one of these is as separated as it can get into its own little band. Now let's see if they were all attached together, like something like they are down here. You see down here? Let me see if you can see that. You see how they're attached, and they, oops, they have a little stripe in between them. And these other ones here are completely separated as bands. And you see all the little squiggles this way or that way. Excuse me. All right, the black is blood. It's oxygenated blood. Normally you would have almost exclusively red blood on these. Although you're going to have vein blood, it could be vein blood. So retract that previous statement. Okay, remember I told you this is going to be like a box of chocolate? Well, here it is. Remember these little curves and all that stuff? Look, they think machines did all this. This is those layers of muscle. You see this little seam on the right there? That's the Slurpees. That little seam is how these muscle fibers slide on each other. I'm going to show you all this in extreme detail, but they see these things and they say, oh wow, these people must have had amazing technology. That's a giant that's died and we're inside right up against his muscles. Those are his muscle fibers. Can you see those little fabrics in between there? You see those little Slurpees? They call them small leucine-rich proteins. And then you have this here, could have been where it was fed with red blood. It all needs to be fed. And you can see all those little curves, the same thing that I just showed you in the muscle tissue that was actually from an autopsy. All right, so this was the box of chocolates. But there's like a ton of different structures that they have no idea, and they're just marveling over and saying this must have happened, and they all had the same technology, and here's how the machines worked, and they're coming up with all these theories, and that's good. I like theories, but I like material evidence, and this I'm showing material evidence of what this was, and it's biology, and this could be tested. It was biology, and of that I am 100% certain. And the other things I will show you, I am going to be certain about what I say. Now, if I'm wrong, I can get uncertified here. But right now, I am certifying what I'm saying because at this moment, I am the only one literally on planet Earth that understands this stuff intimately on all levels. All levels. I understand it from the aspect of the ancient texts, from the material, from the biology, the chemistry. Velikovsky's account of everything was really our true history. And it's time that we paid homage to that true hero. And that's what my book is about. And it's just about done. Well, it was done in 2016, but Paul Armatucci is updating it, and well, hold on 1 second. Let me show you. He just sent me something, and again, all of this stuff is falling so fast. Everything turns into a ramble as I go forward. But when I get back to this by Mystery's History, all right, Mystery History. This is very, very, very good, and all of these things they're showing, they just marvel at them, and they're mystified. And that's the kind of stuff I love. I love to take this and look at it so closely. And that's what I need is people on site that can go up to this and look at it real close and get shots of this Slurpee and look to see, is there a different texture to it? Is there a different material structure? Why is this so red compared to the rest? Are we going to find little holes here and there which are going to be veins and arteries? All of that stuff needs to be examined in a whole new way now. A whole new way. All right, I told you Paul is going to be updating my book, and shortly it'll be out. But this was a book I published in January of 2016. And it was called Mudfossils, Velikovsky, and Minds in Collision. And that's what happened. I found all of this evidence. I had DNA and CAT scans and a whole shooting match. And I found the minds of the people we trusted to be educators were so closed that they were just really absolutely obnoxious about this stuff being discovered. And he puts it, he's all he's really doing is republishing my book but making it more user-friendly. Now, I was wrong about a bunch of stuff, or, you know, not actually wrong necessarily. I hate to admit I'm wrong. No, I'm just kidding. I do. I get wrong a lot. You got to be wrong before you can be right. How can you be right before you can? You got to look. Nothing is exactly what you think it is when you first think what it is that you think it is. You have to think what it is after you think what it is, and then you think what it is, and then you really know what it is after you think what it is about a dozen times. And I'm telling you right now, I find stuff virtually every day that I was wrong about, or that I could improve on my understanding of. Let's go with that. And Paul is deep into this. He's going to be the librarian for Mudfossil University. All of his books will be the new library of learning. Because we have to start over again. Geology isn't right, physics isn't right, history isn't right, spirituality it needs to be reviewed for what it means to you. Obviously, geology and all of the rocks and the formations and the ancient stories and all that stuff, the myths, everything needs to be reconsidered in the light of these mud fossil discoveries. And minds have to stop colliding. They have to start to just sort of take it easy, slow down. You move too fast. You got to make the moment last. This is the moment, my friends. I'm going to tell you right now, this is the moment.